Let's talk about a combo that you see everywhere in the fitness world. High-intensity interval training, HIIT, paired up with essential amino acid supplements, or EAAs. The idea behind it sounds amazing, right? A perfect one-two punch to get you better, faster results. But the real question is, does the science actually back up the hype? So this is what it all boils down to. It's the ultimate question for anyone trying to get the most out of their time and effort. Can you really biohack your fitness by stacking a tough workout with a popular supplement? Or is it just a lot of wishful thinking? Well, some researchers decided to find out for good. On paper, this combination makes perfect sense. On one hand, you've got HIIT, these short, absolutely brutal bursts of exercise that are incredible for your cardiovascular health. And on the other hand, you have EAAs, which are literally the building blocks your body needs to repair and grow muscle. The theory is that HIIT creates the need, and the EAAs rush in to supply the materials. Sounds like a match made in heaven. Okay, so that's the theory. But to find out if it really works, scientists set up a pretty serious experiment. So let's break down exactly how they put this so-called power couple to the test in a really well-controlled 8-week study. The study brought in 66 healthy adults who were all classified as either overweight or obese. And this is actually super important because it means the results are really relevant for a huge chunk of the population that's trying to improve their health. We're not just talking about elite athletes here. And here is where the study design gets really clever. To figure out what was actually causing any changes, they split everyone into 4 separate groups. You had a group that only did HIIT, another group only took the EAA supplements, the third group did the combo, HIIT plus EAAs, and of course, a control group that didn't change a thing. This setup is great because it lets us see what each piece does by itself and what happens when you put them together. So, this whole thing ran for 8 solid weeks. The researchers took a ton of measurements right at the start to get a baseline for everyone. They checked in again at the 4-week mark and then took all the final measurements at the very end. They were tracking pretty much everything: body fat, fitness levels, you name it. All right, the moment of truth. After 8 weeks of hard work and supplements, what actually happened? This is where we get to the results, and let me tell you, they are probably not what you're expecting, especially when we talk about the #1 goal for so many people. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Everybody just assumes that if you combine really intense exercise with a supplement designed to build muscle, you're going to torch body fat and get leaner. So, did they? And here it is, the first big surprise. After 8 weeks, there were no significant changes in body fat or overall body composition. And not just in one group, in any of the groups. Even the one combining HIIT and EAAs saw no real change. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is a direct quote from the published scientific paper. That little piece of science speak, the p-value, basically confirms that any tiny little fluctuations they saw were most likely just due to random chance. They weren't caused by the exercise or the supplements. But hold on. Just because body fat didn't budge doesn't mean the study was a bust. Far from it, actually. It turns out there's some really important improvements happening. They just weren't the kind of thing you'd notice on your bathroom scale. Now, check this out. When it came to cardiorespiratory fitness, which is a really key measure of your heart and lung health, the results were dramatic. Both the HIIT-only group and the HIIT plus EAA group saw these huge improvements. Meanwhile, the other 2 groups? Pretty much flat. This tells us one thing for sure. The exercise itself was working like a charm. So let's look at the actual numbers. The HIIT-only group got a fantastic fitness bump of 5.1 units. The combo group also saw a great increase, 4.1 units. But here's the crucial point. Adding the EAA supplement didn't give them an extra boost. In fact, on average, the HIIT-only group actually improved a tiny bit more. The researchers also looked at something a bit more technical called the respiratory exchange ratio, or RER. The easiest way to think about this is like a fuel gauge for your body's engine. It tells scientists whether your metabolism prefers burning carbs or fat for energy when you're just, sitting around. And here's another really cool finding. The groups that did HIIT and the group that only took the EAAs both saw a positive shift. It means that at rest, their bodies started to rely more on their fat stores for fuel. It's a subtle change, for sure, but it's a really positive metabolic upgrade. Okay, so let's pull all this together. We've got some results that were kind of a letdown and others that were super impressive. So what does it all really mean? Let's boil it down to the key takeaways from this whole experiment. This little scorecard sums it all up perfectly. So what changed? Big checkmark for cardiorespiratory fitness that shot way up for anyone doing HIIT, and another checkmark for that subtle shift toward burning more fat at rest. But what didn't change? Body composition, key blood markers for health, and, this is the big one, there was no added benefit from combining the two. So the first most powerful takeaway is totally undeniable. High-intensity interval training flat out works. If your goal is to improve your cardiovascular fitness and get healthier, this study is just more proof that HIIT is an incredibly effective and efficient way to do it. And the second major takeaway answers our original question head on. In this specific experiment, 8 weeks with overweight adults, tossing EEA supplements into the mix didn't add any extra magic. It didn't make people fitter faster, and it didn't help them lose any body fat. And that really leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it? It seems like we're always looking for that next big thing, that perfect supplement, that ultimate biohack. But what this study really suggests is that the biggest, most measurable gains came from something much, much simpler: the consistent habit of just doing the work. So the question to ask yourself is, where are you putting your focus?